Stop for a moment. Are you sure you truly have wisdom? Or is everything you call understanding actually the very thing hiding your real wisdom? Over 2,000 years ago, a bodhisattva known for supreme wisdom asked the Buddha one question: where does wisdom come from? And the answer was only 4 words, but those 4 words caused 500 people to awaken instantly. Today, you're about to hear those same 4 words, and by the end of this video, you may never see your mind the same way again. But here's the real question. If the answer is so simple, why haven't you seen it yet? What if the way you've been searching is exactly what's preventing you from finding it? Amitabha Buddha, today we sit together, not just to hear an ordinary story, but to touch a question that has troubled countless practitioners for thousands of years. Where does wisdom truly come from? At first, it sounds simple. Who doesn't want wisdom? Who doesn't want clarity? But this seemingly simple question actually holds one of the deepest mysteries in all of Buddhism. And what makes it even more extraordinary is this. Even a bodhisattva known as the embodiment of supreme wisdom, Manjushri Bodhisattva, once stood in a great assembly to ask this very question, not for himself, but on behalf of all sentient beings. And then the Buddha answered. But what shocked the entire assembly was, the answer was only 4 words, just 4 words, that made Manjushri instantly awaken in that very moment. Just 4 words that caused 500 monks to completely release their afflictions and attain liberation. Think about that. How powerful must those 4 words be? They were not just words. They were a doorway capable of transforming the human mind in a single instant. So, what are those 4 words? What lies behind them? And why is it that we modern people still haven't touched them? To understand this, I invite you to gently set everything aside, relax your body, relax your mind, and come with me back in time. Return to a peaceful autumn day on the sacred Vulture Peak, golden sunlight flowing like honey, a gentle autumn breeze carrying the fragrance of wild flowers, the atmosphere both solemn and profoundly still. On that mountain, the Buddha Shakyamuni was seated upon a lotus throne, calm, stable, teaching the remedies to heal the suffering of beings. Around him, thousands of disciples, bodhisattvas, and celestial beings sat in complete silence. And then, something extraordinary happened. From the eastern sky, auspicious clouds gathered. 7-colored light shone down. Celestial flowers fell like rain, and heavenly music echoed through the air. Everyone looked up, and they saw Manjushri Bodhisattva descending, standing upon a cloud, riding a majestic blue lion, holding the sword of wisdom. He slowly descended into the human world, his face gentle, radiant, like the full moon, a symbol of perfect wisdom. He stepped down, walked toward the Buddha, joined his palms, and bowed deeply. And then he spoke a question, soft, yet powerful enough to silence the entire assembly. World-honored one, where does wisdom truly come from? In that moment, everything froze. No sound, no movement. Even the greatest disciples, those known for their wisdom, fell silent, because this was not an ordinary question. It was a question that touched the very root of the path to liberation. And perhaps, if you have been listening deeply, you may begin to feel something too. A pause, a stillness, a subtle sense that something profound is touching me. Because this question is not just for Manjushri, it is for you, for me, for all of us. Where does wisdom truly come from? Do you want me to continue with part 2 when the Buddha does not answer but asks a question that shocks the entire assembly? Deep Tok. Great, let's continue. Everyone was waiting for the Buddha to give an answer. After all, this was not a small question. Where does wisdom come from? It is the foundation of all practice, the root of liberation, the key to awakening. And yet, the Buddha did something unexpected. He did not answer. He did not give a teaching. He did not explain a doctrine. He did not deliver a long discourse. Instead, he looked at Manjushri and gently asked back, "You are asking about the origin of wisdom. But first tell me, what do you think wisdom is?" At that moment, the entire assembly was stunned, because suddenly the question had turned inward. Manjushri paused for a moment. Then he answered with clarity, "World-honored one. As I understand it, wisdom is the clear and luminous mind that sees the true nature of all things. It is the path that cuts through ignorance, ends suffering, and benefits countless beings." The Buddha nodded. "Very good." Then he asked again, "Then tell me, do all beings already possess this wisdom? Or do they need to obtain it from somewhere else?" This time, something shifted. Manjushri's eyes lit up slightly. He replied, "At the deepest level, all beings already possess Buddha nature. Within them is a pure, complete light of wisdom. But on the surface, it is covered by ignorance and afflictions, so it does not shine through." The Buddha nodded again, and then he asked a question that struck like lightning. "If all beings already have wisdom, why do you still ask where it comes from?" Silence. The entire assembly froze, because this question revealed a contradiction. Think about it. If something is already within you, why are you still searching for it? If you already have gold in your pocket, why are you asking where gold comes from? At that moment, Manjushri fell into deep contemplation, and so did everyone else, because this is not just a logical question. It is a mirror reflecting how we live our lives. We say, "I want wisdom. I want enlightenment. I want clarity." But at the same time, we are also told, "You already have it." So which one is true? Do we need to gain wisdom, or do we need to uncover it? This confusion is where most people get stuck. After a moment of silence, Manjushri slowly spoke. "World-honored one, I understand now. Wisdom is not something to be obtained from outside. It is already complete within us. But because of ignorance, because of confusion, it is covered like a mirror covered in dust. So the path of practice is not to collect more wisdom, but to remove what is covering it." The Buddha smiled, because now Manjushri had touched the root. But Manjushri continued, "However, there is still something unclear. If wisdom is already there, what condition, what cause allows it to reveal itself?" This question became even deeper. Now it was no longer, "Where does wisdom come from?" but "What allows wisdom to appear?" Around them, the great disciples began to feel it. Something profound was unfolding. Shariputra, known for his supreme wisdom, spoke. "World-honored one, please guide us. We have practiced for years. Sometimes we feel clarity, sometimes confusion, this rising and falling. We do not understand." Madhgalyayana added, "I have seen many people. Some practice diligently for years, yet progress slowly. Others seem effortless, yet awaken quickly. What is the reason behind this?" Ananda spoke with sincerity. "I have heard countless teachings, yet why is it that some hear one sentence and awaken immediately, while others study endlessly and remain confused?" Now, everyone was leaning in, not just listening, but searching. The Buddha looked at them all, his eyes filled with compassion. He knew the moment had come. He spoke slowly. You are asking what condition allows wisdom to appear. But first tell me this. What is it that covers wisdom? Subhuti answered immediately. Ignorance and afflictions. World-honored one. The Buddha nodded. And where do ignorance and afflictions come from? Upali responded. They arise because we do not see reality clearly. We cling to appearances. We mistake what is false for what is real. Very good, the Buddha said. So if you wish to remove afflictions and allow wisdom to appear, what is the key? Purna answered. Right understanding, seeing things as they truly are. The Buddha smiled again and asked one final question. Then how do you truly see? And just like that, everything returned to the very beginning. Do you want me to continue with part 3? The moment the Buddha revealed the 4 words that changed everything. Part. Got it. Let's continue with the most important part. YouTube script, part 3. The 4 words that changed everything. The entire assembly fell silent. No one spoke because the Buddha's last question, how do you truly see, had brought everyone back to the very beginning. They had discussed wisdom, ignorance, practice, liberation, and yet they still could not answer this simple question. How do you truly see? Not with the eyes, not with knowledge, not with concepts, but truly see. At that moment, Manjushri stepped forward again. He felt it. He was standing at the edge of something extremely profound. But before he could answer, the Buddha raised his hand gently and spoke. His voice, calm, simple, but carrying a weight that could shake the entire universe. If you wish for wisdom to appear, he paused. The entire mountain seemed to hold its breath, and then he said just 4 words. Do not know, do not seek. Silence. No thunder. No dramatic reaction. Just absolute stillness. Because those 4 words were not meant to be understood. They were meant to be seen. At first, they sounded almost too simple, too ordinary. Do not know, do not seek. What does that even mean? Are we supposed to become ignorant? Are we supposed to stop learning? Stop practicing? Stop trying? No, that is not what the Buddha meant, because what he was pointing to was something far more subtle. Do not know does not mean being stupid. It means not clinging to what you think you know, because the moment you say, I know this, I understand that, I have realized something, your mind becomes closed, rigid, fixed, and truth can no longer enter. Do not seek does not mean doing nothing. It means not chasing after results, because the moment you seek, I want wisdom, I want enlightenment, I want to become something, you create distance between you and what is already here, and that distance is illusion. At that moment, something began to shift. Manjushri's eyes suddenly lit up. He bowed deeply and said, World-honored one, I understand. His voice trembled slightly, not from confusion, but from clarity. Wisdom is not something to obtain. It has always been here, but it is covered by our habit of thinking we know and our constant desire to achieve. The entire assembly began to awaken. Shariputra spoke. Now I see. All this time, we were trying to gain wisdom, but that very desire was blocking it, Mahakashyapa added. We have practiced for so many years, striving, seeking, grasping at results, and yet that grasping was the very thing keeping us away from truth. Subhuti smiled softly. When nothing is clung to, when nothing is sought, the mind becomes empty, and in that emptiness, wisdom shines. Ananda's eyes filled with emotion. Now I understand why some people hear one sentence and awaken instantly. because in that moment, they are not seeking anything. They are not holding anything. They are simply open, Madhgalyayana added. And those who struggle for years are often trapped by their own effort. Their desire to attain something becomes their greatest obstacle. At that moment, everything became clear. Wisdom is not something you gain. It is something that appears when nothing is blocking it. And what blocks it? The belief that you know, the desire to achieve. The Buddha looked at them all and spoke one final time. Do not misunderstand. Do not know. Do not seek does not mean doing nothing. You still act. You still practice. You still live fully. But inside, you do not cling. You do not chase. You do not hold. That is the key. At that very moment, something incredible happened. The minds of 500 monks became completely clear. All afflictions dissolved. All confusion disappeared. And right there, they attained liberation. No struggle, no long process. Just seeing. Because when the mind stops holding, stops seeking, stops pretending to know, truth reveals itself. And that is the origin of wisdom. Do you want me to continue with part 4, how to apply? Do not know, do not seek in your daily life. Tiptok. Great. Let's continue into the most practical and transformative part. Now you may be thinking, this sounds profound, but how do I actually apply it in my life? Because let's be honest, we still have to live. We still have to work, make decisions, deal with people, face problems every day. So how can we live with do not know, do not seek, without becoming passive or indifferent? This is where many people misunderstand. Do not know does not mean ignoring reality, refusing to learn, or becoming careless. It means something much more subtle. When you act, you don't cling to your understanding. For example, you are talking to someone. Normally, your mind says, I already know what they're going to say. I understand this situation. I'm right. And the moment that happens, you stop truly listening. But what if you drop that? What if you listen without assuming you know? Suddenly, something changes. You become open, present, alive. That is do not know in real life. Now, let's look at do not seek. This does not mean giving up your goals, losing motivation, or doing nothing. It means you act fully, but you don't cling to the outcome. You still work. You still try your best. You still give everything you have. But inside, you are not obsessed with the result. Think about this. How often do we suffer because of expectations? We want success. We want recognition. We want things to go our way. And when they don't, we suffer. But what if you do everything wholeheartedly and then let go? No pressure, no fear, no disappointment, just action, pure action. That is do not seek. Now combine both. Do not know plus do not seek. And something extraordinary happens. You begin to live with clarity, freedom, lightness. You are no longer trapped in overthinking, anxiety, constant comparison. Because your mind is no longer holding and no longer chasing. This is what the Buddha meant. Not withdrawing from life, not escaping the world, but living fully without being trapped by it. Even in meditation, this principle applies. Many people sit down and think, I want peace, I want silence, I want enlightenment. And because of that, their mind becomes even more restless. But if you sit without trying to get anything, without forcing your mind to be quiet, something very different happens. Your mind begins to settle on its own, not because you controlled it, but because you stopped interfering. And in that stillness, wisdom naturally appears. The same applies to helping others. You help not to be praised, not to be recognized, not to feel superior. You help because it is natural, and because there is no attachment, your action becomes pure. This is true compassion, and this is why those 4 words are so powerful. They are not a philosophy, they are a way of living. A way of living where nothing is forced, nothing is held, nothing is chased, and yet everything flows. So next time, when you feel stressed, confused, or overwhelmed, just pause and gently ask yourself, am I holding on to something? Am I chasing something? And if the answer is yes, just let it go. Not forcefully, not dramatically, just soften. And in that moment, you may feel it, a small space, a quiet opening. And in that opening, wisdom begins to shine. Now, after everything you've heard, after all the questions, all the confusion, all the insight, we arrive at something very simple. Wisdom was never missing. Let that sink in. All this time, you thought, I need to become wiser. I need to improve. I need to reach something higher. But the Buddha is pointing to something entirely different. There is nothing to add. There is nothing to gain. Because what you are looking for has always been here. The problem is not that you lack wisdom. The problem is you are covering it with your opinions, your judgments, your beliefs, your constant need to know, your endless desire to achieve. And layer by layer, you build a wall made of, I know, I want, I need. And behind that wall, wisdom is already shining. But you don't see it because you are too busy thinking, analyzing, chasing, controlling. So the path is not about climbing higher. It is about removing what is unnecessary, not adding knowledge, but letting go of what blocks clarity. And this is why those 4 words are so powerful. Do not know, do not seek. Because they don't give you something new. They take something away. They remove the illusion of knowing, the pressure of becoming. And what remains is your true nature, clear, silent, unshaken. At that moment, you don't become wise. You realize you were never separate from wisdom. And this realization does not come with noise, no excitement, no dramatic feeling, just a quiet understanding, like suddenly realizing you've been searching for something that was already in your hand. And maybe, right now, as you are listening, you might begin to feel something, not a big breakthrough, not a sudden enlightenment, but something subtle, a small shift, a lightness, as if something inside you is no longer holding so tightly. And if you feel that, even just a little, then you are already beginning to understand. Because the truth is, wisdom does not arrive. It is revealed. Not when you try harder, but when you stop trying to become something else. So before we end, don't rush. Don't analyze. Don't turn this into another idea. Just sit for a moment, right here, and gently notice. Are you holding on to something? Are you chasing something? If yes, just let it soften. And in that softening, there is space. And in that space, there is clarity. And in that clarity, wisdom is already there. Always has been. Always will be. Amitabha Buddha. And now, you may begin to realize something subtle. Wisdom is not something you gain. It's something you stop covering. But there is still one question left. If you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not even your understanding, then what is it that is aware of all of this right now? You've been seeing your entire life, but have you ever truly seen what is seeing?